Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the Kiali committee meeting, Sprint 25.3 with Kiali 2.6. So this is our agenda with the summary, change and new enhancements, a brief preview of the next sprint. I will finish with a community discussion. This is a presentation of issues across multiple Kiali-related repositories. The primary focus is on Kiali, which, as you might expect, has the most activity. We did 44 issues with great progress. These are completed tasks that have moved through the sprint. 3 epics are still in progress. They are larger or reaching features or initiatives that require more time and coordination, so we'll continue working on them. And now I'm going to let Jay talk about this feature.
Thanks, Alberto. So for a long time, since the beginning of Kiali, when you are versioning or applying app and version labels, we've only allowed one scheme throughout all of your config. And you had to declare that in the CR for Kiali. So typically people would either have to choose app and version or the Kubernetes names like app.kubernetes.io/name and /version. And if you had a mixed scheme or you wanted to have a mixed scheme, you were kind of in trouble because Kiali would only work with just the single configured scheme. We finally were able to reduce or to remove that restriction. So now by default, the 3 typical schemes that people are using can all be used interchangeably. So you can have app version, you can use the Kubernetes app version labels, or you can use Istio's canonical app and version label. And that's if you don't do anything. So that's enabled by default. If you do have a single scheme or you have a custom scheme that doesn't use any of these 3, you can still configure that in the CR. So what this basically means is when you, for example, list your applications like in the screenshot to the right, you'll see that the labeling schemes can be different, but you'll still see all of those apps. So it's actually possible, given an upgrade to 2.6 of Kiali, that if you were using a mixed scheme, you might actually see more applications than you did before, because things that were using the non-configured scheme might start to show up. So that's just a little thing to keep in mind. And if you do want to fix on a particular single scheme, you will have to have that configured in the CR. And that is that. Thanks.
Okay, now Yosun is going to talk about this.
Thank you, Alberto. So if you already know, the mesh page is a graph in Kiali, is a page that includes a graph with the different components of our mesh, which can include our Istio, Kiali instances, our data plane, and recently we have added the gateways and also the waypoint proxies. And in this release, we are adding having a new addition with a cTunnel node. So when we are in an ambient mesh, Kiali is also going to look for the cTunnel workloads and is going to include this node. So we are going to be able to see that in our mesh page. And when we click in the cTunnel, we are going to be able to see the cTunnel information, where it is deployed. That usually is in Istio system namespace, but it doesn't need to be there always. It's going to show us the version, and it's going to show a configuration that is obtained from the config dump of the cTunnel pods. And this is part of the information that we can usually obtain if we are using the Istio and the cTunnel config option, and it's kind of the same information there. And that's it from this slide, Alberto. And this improvement is also related with ambient. So we are showing now the waypoint proxy logs filtered towards our application logs. And we want to put this information together in our workload details logs for our application to make easier the debug or the troubleshooting of our application. Because if we have our application, for example, in a sidecar mesh, it's going to be really easy to find the sidecar logs because they are going to be in the same pod as our application in the Istio proxy container. But with ambient, and now these proxy logs are going to be in different places of the mesh. So if they are in the cTunnel, if we want to look for the cTunnel related logs, we need to jump to the Istio namespace. If we want to look for the waypoint proxies, we need to know where our waypoint proxy that our application is enrolled is deployed. So now with Kiali, we try to filter, to put this information together to be easier. And we are, when our workload is enrolled in one of the waypoints, is going to access to the waypoint proxy logs and is going to do a filter by our application name to show the logs next to all the selections that we have made, even if it's our application or the cTunnel. We have also made a change regarding the colors to be more easy to identify the different components. So now we are using different shades or yellow to identify the proxies like cTunnel, waypoint, or also the sidecar. And we are using different shades of blue to indicate containers that are related to our application. And that's it, Alberto.
Awesome. Thank you, Jay and Yasune. Well, let's go over some code-base that you should know about. First, related with ambient, that Yasune told us, related, or both of them related with waypoints. Next, about workload logs for Kubernetes native sidecars. This is a major enhancement for teams using Kubernetes native sidecars alongside Istio. Now Kiali can retrieve and display logs from these workloads, making it easier to debug and monitor service behavior. Other notable change is a big win for testing in OpenShift Servicemesh console. We added the CRD validation test. Cyper tests are now implemented to ensure the CRD validation functionality remaining stable over time. And lastly, we have a new configuration option for validation reconciliation intervals. Previously, validation checks ran at fixed intervals, which may not have been ideal for every setup. With this change, you can now configure how often validation reconciles, giving you more control over performance and accuracy. This is especially useful for large environments, so this is great for us. Here are some of the case bug fixes addressed in this sprint about ambient. A missing filter option for destination services in ambient mode has now been implemented. This makes it easier to refine search and analyze traffic flows. Fetching third-party resources using the proper client to avoid UI errors. A bug caused an incorrect resource fetching, leading to some UI error message. About Istio sidecar, some logs are missing with Kubernetes native sidecars. Users were experiencing missing logs when using Kubernetes native sidecar with Istio. Related with the API versions, in the K reference grant was outdated. Now is set it to V1 beta 1. We fixed some sync issues in the mesh space. Another issue is that some users face login delays due to the status call blocking the UI. This issue has been resolved, ensuring the login experience. And there was an issue with health status comparison in Cypress test. This has been fixed too. And certain Istio system applications were incorrectly displayed as out of the mesh. This fix ensures proper recognition and visualization with the Servicemesh. And that's all related with bug fixes. Looking at the coming sprint, here's what we can expect. Some backlogs highlights like performance fixes related with the scalability, some customization support toward hack scripts, and some epics that we have in progress, like ambient mesh enhancements. Work is going on to support ambient 1.24 and cTunnel specific metrics. This means that Kiali will provide deeper insights for users adopting ambient mode. And another epic that we have in progress is the UI improvements. Kiali Wizards UI is being improved, aiming for a better and more intuitive user experience. We'll continue working in features and features that are already in progress. So that's a wrap on our Kiali Sprint preview with performance fixes, ambient enhancements, and improvements. So this sprint is shaping up to be an exciting one. So if you want to stay ahead on the latest updates, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, X. So until next time, happy troubleshooting and enjoy optimizing your service mesh. Now we are going to stop the recording and start the community discussion.